In today's legal landscape, with everything that's going on with artificial intelligence and just increased technology generally, as well as competition and the economy being in a little bit of flux, I think it's safe to say that change is the only constant. And I know we've been saying that for a long time, and it can apply at just about any time. But there is so much going on right now that I think we have to talk about what happens when services become more of a commodity. And if the use of artificial intelligence is making tasks or matters not take as long as they used to, what happens to the traditional billing structure? Well, let's talk about that. Well, welcome to Legal Marketing Minutes, where I share short bursts of current marketing news and advice. I'm your host, Nancy Myrland. If we haven't met, I'm a marketing and business development advisor, and I specialize in content, social, and digital media for lawyers. Well, your time is valuable, so let's get started, okay? Well, in recent years, but particularly since last November 30th when ChatGPT was launched, all of a sudden, artificial intelligence became more understandable to more people because we didn't have to be coders. We didn't have to have a fancy program. We didn't have to rely on the IT department to develop or bring these kinds of tools to us. And even though some firms have said, we're not allowing you to use them yet, they're still being tested and they're still being studied. And even artificial intelligence in law firms is not new. There have been artificial intelligence practices and software and other kinds of resources that have been used for many, many years. We just didn't think about them because they just worked. Well, now we have these very easy tools in front of us, most of them under the category of generative AI, sometimes called Gen AI, and that's a subset of artificial intelligence that's a conversational tool. We ask it something, we give it something, it does a great job transforming that data into another usable format that we ask for. All right, that was a long story, very short, on what generative AI is. But one of the things we have to talk about is what's going to happen to this traditional billing structure that we are so accustomed to. And why is that? Let's pretend that there is a certain task that you do. There's a certain, whether it's research, whatever it might be, but it's something that you're doing when you are not with your client, but yet you are in service of your client. And let's say it used to take you 10 hours or whatever it might be. I mean, the software now makes it quite possible that particular task will not take nearly as much time. So in a traditional billing model, what are you going to do? Are you going to then say, this only took us 5 hours, or this only took 5 minutes? I can only bill you for 5 minutes, or gosh, what's the appropriate amount for us to mark that up and still pass that along to the client? And what are the ethics rules going to say about disclosing the use of artificial intelligence? And at this moment, that is still undecided. And so it's time to think more seriously, if you haven't already, and many of you already have, about alternative forms of billing and value-based billing. And yes, there is no doubt that artificial intelligence broadly, not just generative AI, but artificial intelligence as a whole is going to streamline routine tasks. It's already happening. It cannot go back to where we were before. And so what that's going to do is free up your time to concentrate on delivering other outcomes or adding additional value. It's not necessarily going to kick you out of your job or take your job away from you or help your clients see that they don't need you. It's just going to help you work on additional matters or additional ways of solving your client's problem. The focus is still on the client. And it's important to remember that clients are seeking value from you. They're seeking solutions. They're not just looking for hours on an invoice. So talking about alternative billing models very much is in alignment with what clients are expecting from you. And when you can do that, then you are fostering a much stronger and a much, I would say, more enduring relationship with your clients. And also, when you think about alternative forms of billing and value-based billing, it also can give you a competitive edge, because when you are able to then focus on a more robust package, if you will, in the time that you have in your schedule to take care of your client in additional, more creative ways, then why would that not be a competitive edge for you? And when you do that, all of that bundled together obviously is good for you. It's good for the firm. It's good for your practice. It's good for revenue. So again, time to talk about this and get serious. And I know it sounds like it's such a hard thing to do. And how would I even begin to come up with that? Well, it really if you've done this kind of work before, or if your firm has, it really doesn't have to be as difficult as it may sound or it may feel, and probably is causing some anxiety when you think about it. But don't forget that you already have analytics in your firm. You already have an accounting system that you can go to say, okay, let me look at all of the clients, or even start with one client and one matter. What is the typical amount of time that I and others have spent with clients like this on a similar matter? It's not always going to be the same. You don't expect it for it to be apples to apples, but pull out of your system and ask for help doing this so that you can see what the average matter actually cost your client, and what you billed for that, and what you collected for that, and gather that data, collaborate with finance and accounting, work closely with them. And, you're going to, obviously, if you are looking at all of your colleagues on your practice team, then somebody's going to have different billing rates than you. Somebody's going to have collected at a different rate than you have, but you can still pull out averages. And then what I want you to do is to say, all right, let's say that you're seeing a range between $20,000 and $40,000 for matters just like this. And so then you start to look at those and say, oh, okay, which of these looks the most like this type of matter and this type of client, and somebody who charges per hour what I tend to charge. And then you start to say, does that feel reasonable? Is there enough value for my client if I charge that? It doesn't matter how much time you spent or how much time you didn't spend, because you used artificial intelligence tools in your firm that others have provided to your firm, software that are helping you do it more efficiently. The question should be always from your client's perspective. Are they getting the value that they need and they want and they expect from you as their trusted service provider? So it's not like you're starting from scratch. And if you are for some reason, and if this is a new practice area, you can look outside your firm and get some of this data, some of this information. So obviously there are ways, but we are talking about a starting point. And I would encourage you to get started with it, because clients are only getting smarter. Like artificial intelligence and like generative AI, they are only getting smarter. And when they are armed with these kinds of tools in their companies, you have to know that they are going to be very, very aware, and more so as every day and every week goes on, that these tools are going to be used. So I would much rather see you get ahead of this and start talking about these types of issues much better now than having a client be the one that actually brings it up to you and say, are you using any artificial intelligence, or, what's going on here? What's going on here? So I'd rather see you get ahead of it and show them that you were paying attention to it. All right, there's so much more to this discussion, and I was tempted to add more in every way, but my goal for this podcast, Legal Marketing Minutes, is that it's always under 10 minutes. So if you want to talk about it some more, obviously we can do that. But it's time. It's time to talk about value-based billing and other alternative forms of billing. And you will never be sorry that you did, but you could be sorry if you don't. Well, that's it for today's Legal Marketing Minutes. Please do me a favor and let me know your thoughts about this topic. And if you're in a place where you can leave a comment, I would love to hear it, read it, see it, however you want to leave it. Please do so. I always love hearing from my listeners. And if not, you can always find me on my blog at myrlandmarketing.com, which is MYRLANDmarketing.com. All right, thank you so much for spending a few Legal Marketing Minutes with me. I know your time is valuable, so I appreciate you spending a few of them right here with me. Until next time, I'm Nancy Myrland. Take care.